I was born. I'll give you that. As
Good
opposed to
afternoon,
Jeffrey.
evening, everyone.
I was hatched.
Right.
It was a bad idea.
It was found
hatched.
under a cabbage by a stork.
Yeah.
Bye,
Delivered by
everybody.
a stork.
Hi, everybody.
Where are you going, Liz?
Oh, no, I don't.
Hang on. We're not finished yet.
That was one of our shortest recordings ever. Wow.
Oh, so where's the thing where you can edit
look at all these people.
You can pause the
Hi,
recording.
people.
I don't know. I haven't researched any of it.
I don't see it. I see end broadcast. I don't want to do that. Please don't any of you push that button.
I'm not going to push that button.
Don't push that button.
Do it again.
I know. Sorry about that, Neil. We've got a special guest that's coming on part 2 that we were trying to accommodate his time frame. So it's pretty late.
Hey, but the cool thing is these videos are recorded.
They are.
So you can watch it tomorrow.
It's a big surprise you can have. Watch it.
Hello, Michael Kuipers. How are the volume levels so far, anyway?
You sound good and loud to me today, Jeff. I don't think anybody...
Loud and clear.
Yeah, loud and clear. 5 by 5. I've picked up all this lingo, eh? Like I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
5 by 5.
Mm-hmm.
We don't use that. Our official is loud and clear. Or weak and feeble.
Unfortunately not, iHall Boxes. He is still MIA.
Technically, he wouldn't be a guest,
and I don't
but
mean
I guess
Miami.
effectively you would be. Yeah.
Yeah, he would be like a guest. I ran something by Jeff earlier this week, Nick. It was actually a non-story, so we didn't put it in the lineup.
A non-story?
Yeah, but it was a Canadian pilot using a very good usage of pan.
Oh, yes. I think I picked up on that when it first came in.
Mm-hmm.
Pan,
not a non-story.
Pan.
Mm-hmm.
A non-story.
And it was really
like
nice.
Stuff that you have in the Indian restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Bread? Indeed. Yes.
Okay.
The controller didn't go, huh?
No.
What's that?
No.
What did you say? Don't understand.
Yeah. No, it's pretty familiar here, I think. So we getting close? Gonna go?
Let me do a sound check on the audio.
Radio Roger.
Radio Roger.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The View.
Loud.
Too loud, okay?
Too loud.
I shall pull up my
interesting Neil.
Sound program and let me check these other sounds first, just to make sure if I have to adjust everything or just one of those things.
1,000.
That sounds okay.
Okay.
Sounded good. Yep.
Ooh, that's loud. Loud.
Neil, that's up north, mate. They're probably a century behind everyone else up there. No, I'm only joking. I was referring really to military. When I was in the military, they might well have changed it now. Things always change.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
QFE to QNH and back to QFE and back to QNH. I mean, in 19 years. So about a 5-year cycle.
That's pretty.
Okay. Hey, Nick, if you don't mind, we're trying to figure out some stuff here.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was just trying to keep people amused. Cheeky rat.
Basically, he's telling you to shut up in a nice way.
How was that? How's the volume now on?
That still sounded good.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
New York City!
Yep.
Always have that one
Never out of the
ready.
place.
And I have my BS flag.
Oh, yeah, there's your Airbus BS flag. I don't know if Nick has seen that before. Have you, Nick?
Have you seen my BS flag?
I love it. I only see Airbus. I don't see the BS.
He's equating that with BS.
Oh, really? Okay. I've got a proper BS one if you actually ever want it.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. I used to be, you know, when you get documents come through your desk and you got a little rubber stamp. You can stamp on it and sign it or something. I used to have one that had a finger like this, and then behind the finger it said BS in full.
You know what you haven't played recently, Jeff, is Shingles Doesn't Care.
Shingles doesn't care.
There it is.
Definitely doesn't.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, good for you. So we're going to shoot for an hour and a half-ish, I think.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
Maybe something less than that, because it's going to be Steph and
That's correct. And Nick
and the guest. Yeah. So maybe shoot for like 1:15 or something like that.
Got it. Yes, sir.
All right.
Oh, God, you'll have to work hard to drink 4 beers in 1 hour 15.
No, you can take your time.
If there's ever a man for the job, you're it, Nick.
I'll do my best. That's all I can promise.
There, and we have backup recordings going in the right column. And let me look at this one here, Reaper. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why is my volume so low in Reaper? That's weird. Hang on. Let me adjust that.
All right.
Adjust the signal to noise on Reaper. It's 100%. 100%.
Why is that so funny when you say
100%?
It's that little lisp you do. 100%.
100%.
Oh my God, we are easily amused.
We are. Okay, I just adjusted the volume going to StreamYard on myself, so let's make sure that the volume is good. How does it sound?
Sounds
anything different? Okay.
Didn't hear any diminishment of or
okay. And that gives me a better signal on Reaper.
Very good.
Let me just check here.
Don't touch it. Absolutely, iHall boxes. Don't touch it, Jeff. Whatever it is, don't touch it.
If I had $1 for every time I've heard that.
Pardon me.
Well, I wouldn't believe it, but Neil one is absolutely correct. I've just found the Civil Aviation Authority radio telephony manual.
Oh.
And indeed, you do report on a readability scale of 1 to 5.
Well,
there you go.
Okay, Jeff, give Neil a ding on your bell there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There you go. That one's for and why not some?
Yeah, well done.
Why not some applause?
Thank you, Neil. These two bozos don't know what they're talking about.
Gosh, no. Well, don't give it all away, but we have no idea what we're doing or saying.
Ready?
I think so.
Does everyone know what the numbers mean? Obviously not. No, don't worry. I'm being distracted.
I think, is there any way that we can remove the live chat from Nick's display so he can focus?
He cried.
You know what? Nick is acting like this. Like this.
Yes. We're all.
Very true. I'm going to find that bullshit arrow, and I'm going to send it to you, Liz, so you can put it in your library of images.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, please do. Yeah. I'd love to have that.
Because when Jeff waves that Airbus flag, I just assume he's going, "Hooray! Marvelous, fantastic!
Yay! I love Airbus.
We love you."
And for a very short time in my career, I was an Airbus A350 captain.
You were.
Oh, indeed. Yes, you were.
For a couple of weeks.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm still ready.
Okay, Liz.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 581. Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 16th of August, 2023. Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. guy. Get your ride and it's flying by with the airline pilot guy. In today's episode, 5 people die in 2 separate aerial firefighting incidents. A student pilot panics after her failed solo landing. More news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 581 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City!
You got that right. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast where we talk about recent news in aviation and also answer your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, an almost retired pilot at a major legacy airline based in the United States. And joining us today from his studio
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire,
professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Good evening, Jeff, from the United Kingdom. I hope everything's nice over there in the States, and looking forward to a great show.
We are as well, and also joining us from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier, aviation enthusiast, and spreadsheet master. It's our producer, Liz Piper.
Hi, everyone. It's a perfect summer's day here.
Excellent. Well, rub it in. Why don't you? All right.
That's what she said. Goodbye, guys. Have a good show.
All right.
That's what she said.
All right. Let's do the old news thing.
Stand by for news.
All right. Before we start with this first news story, we should probably mention that we are doing this in parts again this week to accommodate the other hosts' schedules. Yeah, crew scheduling. It's always a tough one here. And so we're doing part 1 with Captain Nick only, and then later today, we are going to have Camacho and Dr. Steph join us, along with maybe a special guest as well. So stay tuned. And if you're just listening to the audio show, which 99% of you are, it won't make any difference at all. You'll hear all of us at some point. So there you go. Let's start with this first item in our news folder, Greek fires. This is from bbc.com. This is about 3 weeks ago or so, I think, or maybe a little bit more. They're having some hot weather and some wildfires in Greece, along with other countries around the world. And one of the tools that are used to fight these fires are aerial efforts, water bombers, or whatever you want to call them. And unfortunately, 2 Greek Air Force pilots died after their plane crashed while fighting wildfires on the Greek island of Evia. Not sure how that's pronounced. The water bombing plane crashed while battling a forest fire near Platanistos, the defense ministry said. The pilots were named as 34-year-old Commander Christos Moulas and his co-pilot, 27-year-old Parakles Stefanidis, maybe. I don't know. There we go. There's the ding. An intense European heat wave has also sparked wildfires across Sicily, Algeria, and Tunisia. So let's show the video of the airplane as it's approaching the fire to release its water or fire agent. It looks like it clipped some trees with the right wing, and then it crashes. And the 2 pilots, as mentioned, did not survive. the crash. It was flying near the town of Christos. And let's see, is there more to this video? Fires are also raging on roads in Corfu. Okay, I turned down the volume here, but that's Greek state camera footage of the crash. So let's see. Defense Minister Nikos Dandias said the pilots lost their lives in the line of duty while attempting to protect the lives and property of citizens, as well as the environment of our country. Let's see. Yeah, there's I don't know if, Liz, if you were showing the pictures of the two Air Force officers that passed. All right, thank you. And let's see, what else? What else to say? I think that, I'm not sure if it mentioned it here in this article, but our producer Liz said that she had read that that apparently until recently, this kind of duty, as far as piloting the airplanes, firebombing airplanes, was done by not the military, but private companies and that kind of thing, contractors. And now it appears that they switched over to having their Air Force pilots do this job. And I'm not sure if that's a factor or not as far as experience levels and that kind of thing. But that's about all I have to say. What about you, Captain Nick? Do you have anything to add there? Or?
Well, all I can really say is that we know it's a very high risk piloting job. Being in the military can be higher risk than our civilian counterparts, but the firefighters who do this kind of flying regularly are, have to be very skilled about what they're doing. Because mainly when you're water bombing, you do not want to drop your retardant too high, because in the high air temperatures of not only of the fire, but of the heat wave that's causing a lot of the dry ground that's creating these fires, the retardant liquid will evaporate very quickly, and it might not even reach the ground if you're too high. So the guys try and get in as low as they physically can. They've got a spotter aircraft that goes ahead of them to indicate where they want the drop occurring, and that spotter also mentions to the crew the sort of heights and obstacles, because that they are flying a slower, more maneuverable aircraft. They can get closer and they can see things that perhaps the larger aircraft crews can't. So they come in reasonably well armed, but as you can see from the video, it looks like they clip something which is behind a small line of or a small stand of trees, which damages their right wing, and you can see something fluttering off. And of course, I suspect we both think that is probably an aileron. I can see from that still that we've also got of the video that it looks like they've got full left aileron. You can see that left aileron looks like it's fully up as the aircraft probably starts an uncommanded roll. And it also looks like there's something, perhaps a gap on that right-hand wing. They had such little time to react because of their proximity to the ground. You've got to feel really sorry for the crew, because there's only a few things you can do in this situation. If the aircraft has been damaged and is entering an uncommanded roll, you can counter it with aileron, obviously, on the good wing if it still works. You can try using a full rudder in the direction to oppose the roll, but it's all happening very quickly. And I was going to say you can even try pulling back on the high engine and going full power on the low engine there to try and speed up that wing that's dropping, make more lift on it and get it to roll the other way. But all those are actions you'd almost need to go in the sim and go, right, let's practice this a few times. Okay, now I'm ready for it. Let's see if I can recover from this. And of course, there's no guarantee that would happen anyway. Yeah. Okay, thanks. And Liz is reminding me that I did a whole plain tale about the firefighting, more specifically about the big aircraft like DC-10s and things that were used. And where is that information? Okay,
Life-saving bombers from 509.
509, the life-saving bombers, yeah. Interesting, but these people are flying a purpose-built water bomber, so it's not like it's a converted airliner. This aircraft has been purposely manufactured by a Canadian company with great experience just to do this job. And just horrible, but it's like a lot of jobs when you're taking a higher risk than the average pilot and you're getting yourself very close to the ground. Occasionally things go wrong.
Yeah. Very true. Well, and you just talked about, we've just been talking about, this is a high risk job, fighting fires. And our second item deals also with another mid-air collision. The first one was not a mid-air, but this one is firefighting in Southern California, I believe. Yeah, Riverside County. From Yahoo.com, 2 firefighters and a pilot have reportedly been killed after a mid-air collision involving 2 helicopters tackling a fire in California. Emergency officials said the aircraft, not the aircrafts. Why are people doing that? That is becoming a thing. Oh. Yeah, you know what? I should probably try to find Jeff's pet peeves, huh?
Ooh, Jeff's pet peeve.
Or peeves, wait a minute.
Ooh, Jeff's pet peeves.
That's a better one.
Yeah, you want to be careful, Jeff. Soon people will be saying potables.
Oh, Nick.
Potable.
Thank you. I think that
all
water
those
they were dumping is
potables
probably
dumping. Yeah.
not potable. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So back on track. California CAL FIRE Southern Region Chief David Fulcher said fire crews had been attending a building fire in the community of Cabazon. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Cabazon? Okay, I've never heard of that. Which had extended into the vegetation around it. A full wildland fire dispatch was initiated, which included fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft. And this is when the collision happened. Unfortunately, the second helicopter crashed, and tragically, all 3 members perished, which included 1 CAL FIRE division chief and 1 CAL FIRE captain and 1 contract client pilot. The other helicopter landed safely, and no one on board that one was hurt. But the crash caused an additional 4-acre fire, which was extinguished. The helicopter which crashed was performing work under contract with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, a fire captain and spokesman Rich Cordova said. And the investigation, or the incident, is being investigated now by the NTSB.
Yeah, again, it's when you've got multiple aircraft working in this kind of an environment, it looks like it occurred. Was it at night? Certainly one of the pictures. Yeah, shows that the
7:20 p.m.
Okay, so this in a sunset, perhaps, but obviously in an area of poor visibility with smoke, doing a highly technical and skilled job. Lots of aircraft, perhaps not as much coordination as you would hope. So this sort of thing is just an awful shame, because I tell you what, these people who volunteer to do these jobs, they're doing it really with an enormous amount of goodwill towards the people on the ground who they're trying to save. And there's no doubt about it that when they see these dreadful fires and they know that they're close to communities, they undoubtedly feel a huge amount of pressure to try and get the fires under control and save lives. They put themselves in danger, in harm's way, doing this job. So you've got to feel for them.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the next item here. You remember that news story we talked about not that long ago? The aircraft that 2 weeks ago? Okay. That lost the emergency slide in midair just prior to touchdown at Chicago O'Hare. Well, the pilots of a 24-year-old Boeing 767 operated by United Airlines was forced to make an emergency landing on Wednesday after they reported uncontained heat and smoke in the cockpit shortly after takeoff.
Chicago United 3 Heavy Mayday aircraft descending 10,000 direct weight.
United 3 Heavy, Chicago approach, information Victor's current O'Hare, the wind's 26017, altimeter 2975, expect the ILS runway 28 right.
We're getting Victor, Dallas, right, United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy, descend and maintain 5,000.
Descend 5,000, United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy, speed your discretion.
Copy.
Press United 1980, 10,000, descending 7,250 speed.
United 1980 Chicago approach, reduce speed to 210.
210 speed, United 1980.
United 3 Heavy, fly heading at 210.
210, United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy, traffic, 12 o'clock, 6 miles, turning northbound at 4,000 at 737.
United 3 Heavy, looking. Traffic in sight, United 3 Heavy.
Thank you. United 3 Heavy, do you know what engine is the where you're having the trouble?
It's not an engine issue. We have uncontained heat on the flight deck.
Uncontained heat on the flight deck. No mention of smoke, though, in this.
28, just maintain through 5 till established. Keep your speed up for now. I got an emergency coming in behind you.
Hey, 5 till established and keep speed up back at 30 28.
United 3 Heavy, fly heading at 230 to set and maintain 4,000.
230 down to 4,000, United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy, fly heading 250, intercept the 28 right localizer.
250 to join United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy is 8 miles from Adam, maintain 4,000 until established on the localizer. Cleared the ILS approach, runway 28 right.
Clear for the ILS 28 right, United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy, contact O'Hare Tower, 132.7.
32.7, United 3. United 3 Heavy, Mayday aircraft just inside Adam.
25 450.
United 3 Heavy, O'Hare Tower, 126.10, continue inbound, runway 28 right.
Continue, United 3 Heavy.
United 3 Heavy, 126.10, runway 28 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, 28 right, United 3 Heavy.
No, I was just going to mention that. Very clear communications from them, Jeff.
Delta Delta, and once you're clear, you can come to a stop.
Delta Delta, United 3 Heavy.
Yeah, 3 Heavy, when able, switch to emergency frequency there, 119.25, 19 and a quarter. They're ready for you over there.
1925, United 3 Heavy.
All right. So the reason I mentioned the whole slide incident, it turns out this plane was the same aircraft which dropped an emergency slide in midair earlier this month while on final approach to land at Chicago O'Hare Airport following a transatlantic flight from Zurich, Switzerland. And now, I forgot to mention the registration number of this airplane is November 666 United or Uniform Alpha, and I said 666. So I don't know if that has, like 666 has anything to do with this particular incidents. Yes.
It might explain why it was getting hot.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's getting very hot in the cockpit.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting description, uncontained heat. You do wonder whether that is being generated by a fire or possibly a runaway conditioner, so that I've had it on aircraft before where the aircraft the heating in the cockpit runs away full hot, and nothing you can do will seem to control that, and it can get blisteringly hot in the flight deck if that occurs. And also, good point. that Liz mentioned in the background there, that their communications were nice and clear, so it didn't sound like they were having to wear masks at the time. So, not sure if there was actually smoke present. If it was just hot in the cockpit, I wouldn't expect them necessarily to put the masks on.
Right. Sounds like their visibility was good. They were called out traffic, and they said that they had the traffic in sight. So, yeah. And I have a question. You said you've had like just uncontrollable hot air in the flight deck area. I know you think I'm making a joke, but I'm not. Actually, I'm serious. My question is, usually that has something to do with the mix valve, right, going full hot. But wouldn't that just affect one of the air conditioning packs, not both?
Well, for us, probably the trim valve is more
Oh.
important in the Airbus, because being a sophisticated airplane, you can select different temperatures for different zones of the aircraft, and the cockpit is a separate zone in most cases. And if that trim valve runs away full hot, it'll just affect the cockpit area, and you'll just get stinky hot air in there. But it doesn't matter which pack it's coming from, because it's being mixed specifically for your zone in the Airbus way. So
Okay.
yeah, and I've had that happen, and there are various fixes you can do in an Airbus. I have no idea what you can do in an old 767, but we used to be able to reset various computers to get them to fix it. And quite often, a lot of the time, the engineers had to, on the next flight, come in and they would vacuum and clear the vents around the temperature sensors, because sometimes that caused the problem if they were getting clogged up and they weren't able to operate correctly.
Good point. And speaking of good points, Neil Landworm in our live audience says Captain Al suffers from uncontrolled hot air.
He does, although I have at times, I think he does control it so that, it comes, just comes at an appropriate moment. So,
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I noticed, Liz, that picture that's in, I don't know if that was the United jet that you showed on okay. Yeah, it was just a stock picture, I guess. Okay, because I was looking at it going, no, that's a different registration number, but it was very close. It was 667. I mean, so almost the same airplane.
All right, next one off the line. Yeah, that's a horrid number. I wouldn't want to fly around on that one. No,
I know.
The number of the beast.
Did you hear? Speaking of beasts, Liz just mentioned that 666 is in her telephone number. I noticed that.
Oh, right.
Liz.
Okay. Wow.
I'm not really sure what to think of that.
But I noticed that they spent 45 minutes on the taxiway. So obviously it wasn't a problem that was significant enough for them to evacuate the aircraft or whatever, or demand some priority so they could get off and cool down.
Unfortunately, we don't know exactly what happened there.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's very true. I mean, I don't know if they're getting rid of any of their airframes, but that would be a prime one to be next for the scrapyard in my mind.
Right. Let's see. Finnair operated flight 666 to Helsinki one Halloween.
Excellent.
To Helsinki is HEL. Hell. That's great. I don't know. I'm starting to kind of feel a theme going on here. Okay. Oh, we are going to this next item here from the Aviation Herald. A Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700 registration November 7734 hotel, performing flight 2493 from San Diego, California to San Jose, California, was at holding point B1 and was instructed to line up on runway 27 at 12:03 local time, so midday, and wait with the advice that landing traffic was 5 nautical miles out. The aircraft went onto the runway, stopped about 470 meters, which is 1,550 feet, ahead of the displaced runway threshold. About 50 seconds prior to the instruction to line up and wait, a citation was cleared to land by the control tower on runway 27, and they warned them that traffic would be holding in position. About 2 minutes, 10 seconds later, 2 minutes, 10 seconds after the 737 had been instructed to line up on runway 27 and wait, the crew of the landing citation queried whether they were still cleared to land, and in return, tower instructed the citation to go around and then instructed the 737 to vacate the runway via the next taxiway to the right, Charlie 2. The 737 queried for the reasoning. Tower responded there was traffic 2 nautical miles out behind them. The 737 crew complied and vacated the runway and subsequently went to holding point Charlie 1. The citation positioned for another approach and landed safely about 14 minutes later. And then the 737 departed about 10 minutes after the go-around of the citation. So before the citation went around and landed, the 737 was cleared for takeoff. ADS-B data suggests that the citation was already over the runway about 150 meters, 480 feet ahead of the displaced runway threshold, having overflown the 737 at low height when it reached the lowest height of about 100 feet AGL, that's low, and started to climb again. The FAA opened an investigation into the occurrence and stated that the controller had previously cleared the citation to land on runway 27 and then instructed Southwest Flight 2493 to taxi onto the runway and wait for instructions to depart. The facility's automated surface surveillance system alerted the controller about the developing situation. And then the National Transportation Safety Board announced NTSB is investigating August 11 runway incursion and overflight at San Diego International that occurred when a Cessna 560X was cleared to land on runway 27 and conflicted with a Southwest Airlines Boeing 737, which was in a lineup and wait on runway 27. So hopefully we'll get to know a little bit more when the investigation continues. There's the airport diagram that we're displaying on the video here, and will be in the show notes, as you know. So 27, it's a single runway operation there at San Diego. And the, just kind of shows you not really super helpful as far as where all this happened, but basically on the right side of the chart here that we're looking at is where Charlie 1 is, and then the 737 was waiting for takeoff clearance somewhere between Charlie 1 and Charlie 2 taxiways. And then I guess it doesn't really make it clear. They do mention that the surface surveillance system was warning the controller of the pending conflict, but it almost seems to me the way that this is written in the Aviation Herald that the crew of the citation may have seen the 737 was still on the runway and said, "Are we still cleared to land?" And I don't know. I'm not sure exactly the sequence of events here. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, just we know we can't truly trust ADS-B data. It isn't necessarily accurate, but it appears that the citation had already overflown the 737 and reached 100 feet above the ground, which is pretty damn low. So it sounds to me like, despite the fact that the controller was given a warning from his automated system, that it wasn't, you didn't have enough time to order the Cessna around. Either that or the citation just took a wee bit long to do its go around and actually passed over the 7.3 at a relatively low height before it started climbing away again. That will need some clarification from the NTSB, who will be able to get some more accurate numbers, I'm sure.
I will say, as far as communication is concerned, I think all the proper communication was made, because when they told the Cessna citation that they were cleared to land, they said there would be traffic holding in position. Okay, so the Citation pilots know that the 737 is going to be holding in position. And then when they told the 737 crew to go on to runway 27 and line up and wait, they said landing traffic was 5 nautical miles out. So there was communication there for both flights that there's a pending conflict here. But somehow the controller must have been distracted or something and didn't think through this whole thing and forgot to give the 737 clearance. I think that was his initial plan, was to give the I don't know, maybe there was something clearing at the other end of the airfield. We're not sure yet because we don't know all that detail. But apparently when they told the Southwest to line up and wait, there wasn't an opportunity at that point, apparently, for the 737 to be cleared for takeoff immediately. And then maybe something distracted him, and then, or her. I'm not sure. We don't have the audio tapes. And then that conflict occurred. But luckily, good essay, I'm assuming, from the Cessna Citation crew. The 737 crew, not so sure about that, because they said, what's the reason for us to get off the runway? Liz is asking if they would have heard him flying over, but they may have been in the process of pushing up their power to move to the next taxiway and clear the runway by that time that happened. I don't know exactly where they were. As Nick just mentioned, the ADS-B data is very helpful, but it's not always exact. So I'm not sure exactly where that all happened.
Yeah, it's not like we've got statements from the crews involved, so they might have heard them, but they will be giving statements to the NTSB, and all that kind of detail will be involved. There is no procedure for the Citation to land with the 737 in place. He's not allowed to land long in this case, is he, Jeff?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
and of course, I hark back to that awful accident at LA, where a very similar situation occurred with one aircraft being given a clearance to land and actually landed on top of an aircraft that was lined up, waiting to go. We all
Neil makes another good point in our live audience. Should you just clear the runway before asking why? And I'm thinking, yeah, I think so. I mean, and again, it's not
you can
clear.
do both at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. That maybe that's what happened. Maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't wait until they got clarification for why. I'm assuming they probably were clearing and said, why are we having to clear? But I'm thinking to me that might show maybe a little bit of a lack of situational awareness, because, they were told there was traffic 5 nautical miles out, and then this guy is going around. It's like, hello, why haven't you heard what just happened there? Why do you need isn't the reason obvious?
And of course, we generally turn our ADS-B on in the cockpit whenever we come onto a live runway, just so we can see the situation. And it does give good information about the guy behind. It will show up on the ADS-B, and you should be able to work out that there's somebody on short finals behind you. I'm a bit surprised the 737 didn't say, "What's going on, please?"
And just in case there are any sticklers out there, TCAS is what we would be using, and they're roughly equivalent. But in the GA and corporate world, I think ADS-B is probably more prevalent. Yeah. But
Indeed.
Yeah, same thing. It's an awareness safety feature for us to know who's out there, where they are, how close they are, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go to G. And this is sent in by our announcer, the official APG announcer, Radio Roger, from CNN.com. You know what I should do? Before I start this, I need to load up a little video of this and open. And okay, let me adjust the volume first before I play that. Okay. If you'll add it to the stream when I start talking, Liz. All right, this is from CNN.com, sent in by our announcer, Radio Roger. A bear being transported on an Iraqi Airways flight from Baghdad to Dubai Friday caused delays after it escaped from a crate in the cargo hold. Iraqi Airways issued an apology after a video circulated online of a male passenger saying the return flight to Baghdad was delayed for, quote, over an hour due to a bear in the cargo. In another video, a bear cub can be seen roaming outside of its crate on the plane while people pet and attempt to comfort it. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd want to, even though it's like a baby bear or a small bear, I'm not sure that I'd want to put my hand anywhere near the mouth of that thing as they are doing in the video, but okay. And then I guess, is Mohammed with us today? He is our air traffic controller at the Baghdad International Airport. Liz is. This is critical information. Liz says that Mohammed was responsible for the loading of the cargo on this particular flight. Oh boy, that's probably why Mohammed's not with us today.
All right.
Anyway,
so what on earth were they shifting the bear around for? I wonder.
Not sure. Maybe sometimes they send them to zoos and that kind of thing.
Yeah, could be. Yeah,
I'm guessing.
I know there are a lot of fairly exotic creatures owned by some of the well-off people in Dubai. It's the sort of place where you can see people wandering around with tame cheetahs and that sort of thing.
Very interesting. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and head over to this segment, which is one of my favorite segments, other than the plain tales, of course. This is the Getting to Know Us segment, where we get to know what each of us have been up to since the last episode. And to be fair, we just recorded a few days ago. Part 2, or actually our show was recorded live on Saturday morning, and here we are on Wednesday, just a few days later. But I'll bet Captain Nick has been busy with his lawn bowling, I'm guessing.
No, actually, the season's almost ground to a halt.
Oh, okay.
So we got through to the final of one of the big competitions, but we don't play that final match until I think the 3rd of September. And between now and then, I've only left in one singles competition, so I've got to play a couple of rounds of that. And but it's all winding down, which is kind of expected that we're getting to the end of the season and we'll be moving indoors next month. So that's summer's slowly grinding to a halt. So that not a lot of that going on, but in other events, my poor old dog, which is why I've our hairy one called Rugger, is there beside me. Hi, Rugger. Yeah.
Oh, he's frozen for some reason.
Well, he's had an anesthetic today, so he's not moving very fast. He went in to have his teeth done and various other things. So, he's feeling a bit below par and not eating today and looking a bit grumpy. He does not like going to the vets. Unlike the other one, which is this side, that's right. She loves the vets. She thinks it's the best place in the world, and she gets terribly excited. She's up on the receptionist counter, wagging away, saying hello to everyone. All the vet nurses love her there. But Rugger, no, he gets all grumpy if he's got to go to the vets. Yeah, he is indeed. He takes after me, Liz. He is a curmudgeon when it comes to the vets. So that's been today. Just looking ahead, and the 4 QFIs are getting together. I see
yay.
Next week. So you're not going to see a lot of me for the first half of the week next week. So I'm trying to get the next plain tale done before I go, which is on Sunday.
Yeah, if you get it done, that's great. If not,
I've got a good subject, because we were talking about the DC-10 and its cargo door issues in a previous plain tale called the Applegate Memorandum. But of course, that wasn't the end of the DC-10's woes. And there is another major incident involving the DC-10, which makes interesting reading. Not the manufacturer's fault this time, or the airline's fault. And a very interesting response from the FAA, which 40 years later, we see certain similarities. So that's going to be the gist of this plain tale.
Yeah, quite the tease.
Yes. I'm going to call this plain tale "History Repeats Itself." Cover art. Indeed, we we had to deal with a wrinkly aeroplane, didn't we? Yeah, indeed. It had performed a rather firm landing and caused a few wrinkles. So this, I thought, was a nice image of a very wrinkly aeroplane. There are a few Easter eggs in there if you're interested. Of course, the
I'm going
show
to
number is there on.
I'm going to take over here on this.
On the, you've got to zoom in on the eyes. That's where most of the Easter eggs are.
All right. I'm zooming up. Shoot, did it again.
Oh.
Hang on. Nope. I don't want to convert it. Hang on. I know I can do this. Why is it not doing that?
I don't know.
Come on, Jeffrey. What the heck? Oh man, I'm doing the right gesture. There we go. Now it's taking it.
Oh, that's looking good. Okay, so there's a couple of things in that eye. Because I spread the show number around, you'll find the 5 in the other eye.
I see the 80 in this one.
And yeah, you can see the 80. Well done. But there's also another interesting thing in that eye. Have you worked out what that is yet?
It looks like some kind of a swoopy thing, like a logo.
Yeah. So I didn't want to be too blatant and go, "Oh, this is a Boeing airplane that's had all its wrinkles." But I thought I'd sneak the Boeing logo into a discrete place. So that's the Boeing logo there in his eye. There you go.
I see.
And
And
if you
there's
look,
the 5 right
yeah,
there.
it looks like a 3, but in fact, it's not. It's a 5 because the bit that makes it look like a 3 is actually part of the eye coloring.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, it does. I can see it as a 5 and a 3.
Well done. There you go. So that was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
This is Mrs. Midjourney. That's right. Midjourney didn't put an engine on the left-hand wing. So I had to go find an engine from another aeroplane, which I stuck on the left-hand wing. And also it's got a center gear. If that's supposed to be the nose gear, it's definitely in the wrong place. But it looks like more like a center gear. So it's a bit odd. And it didn't have a fin or a tailplane. So they're additions I made. And of course, I used the similar AI capable generation in Photoshop to add more above and below that image to turn it into a square image for the other. I'm not quite sure where that square image goes, Jeff, but
it goes into the chapter images for the show that Apple requires a square image.
A great job of creating more above and more below, exactly copying what was already there. Very clever, I thought.
Yeah, very clever. And hopefully it's reducing your workload.
Yeah, indeed it is. That image is all Midjourney, so I was very impressed with that too. It looked fun. And I needed very few keywords. I think I just wrote passenger airplane with wrinkles, and that's what it produced.
Well, it definitely. I mean, that face it produced all that, huh?
Yeah, it produced all that all by itself.
Very good. Very wrinkly airplane for sure. Yeah, the actual airplane, the United 767, I think, or 777, not sure. One of those was not quite that wrinkled. No.
Yeah. Fair dues.
What have I been doing? Liz is asking. Well, of course,
I'm singing.
I've been singing at my church and did that. The normal number of masses that I sing on the weekends, the vigil mass on Saturday, and then 4 masses on Sunday. And then yesterday was a big feast day in the church, a massive obligation, the Assumption.
Oh, what did you have to eat?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have anything to eat. They did, that's a good point. Why weren't there any like a smorgasbord or something like that there available for me?
Table laden with food.
Yeah. But
someone there doing some converting to get the wine.
So we did have. What was that, Liz? Yeah, so I did the vigil mass for the Tuesday massive obligation, and also a couple of masses on Tuesday, the actual day. So between last show and now, I sang at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 masses. People are wondering if I actually live at the church, and I'm thinking about maybe asking Monsignor if I can go ahead and put a cot or something there, and I can maybe not have to pay for my apartment rental anymore. It's an idea. Am I feeling extra holy? Not really. No, I'm working as hard as I can. Yeah, I know that. Anyway, so that's really editing and singing and that kind of thing is what's been happening with me. So that's about it. So it's time now for the coffee fund, and let's talk to you about that.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love toffee. I love the APG community. Oh man, I'm a mess. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah, the coffee fund. It's your way to support us financially if you have the financial resources to do so, and only then if. So a couple of different ways that you can support our show via the Coffee Fund, or Coffee Bar Club, or the Coffee Fund Cadre, your choice. One is via the Coffee Fund Classic method, which is basically a PayPal donation page, and we have recurring contributors there. Thank you very much, my recurring contributors, and also people use it for a one-off, two-off kind of thing every now and then, and that is something that you can avail yourself of. And the other way to support the show is to become a patron of the show via patreon.com. And since the last episode, one of our longtime, for over 6 years now, Luis Caceres, ended up moving from producer level to senior executive producer level. So yes, that deserves some applause, and even maybe some noisemakers. Thank you, Luis, for upping the pledge. We always try to encourage people to up yours, if you don't mind. Yeah. I know there's a better way to say that, but I do apologize if I offended anybody. Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for doing that, Luis. Much appreciated. And if you're interested in learning how you can become part of our Coffee Fund contributors, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. By the way, that's not a backslash; it's a / or just slash. Yeah. But unless you're a coder, you're doing some programming, then you might want to put a backslash in there. See what happens. All right. Let's see. I guess this is falling again under that category. Let's see. Where is it? Yeah.
Ooh, Jeff's pet peeves.
All right. you want to take a quick break, Nick, or do you want to go ahead and push on?
I've
Well, you already
broken,
did.
thank you.
Okay, well, I hope you can put it back together.
Yes.
And
So do I.
without further ado, then let's go ahead and tackle some feedback for the show.
Captain, incoming message.
And okay, yeah, and now I'm going to go actually to our Evernote app and not my mail app. It's like, oh, what am I looking at here? I don't see any oh, never mind. That's the wrong window that I clicked on. All right, let's start off with this from Ahmad Dan Hamadou. And he says, hello, Captain Jeff and APG crew. It's Ahmad Dan Hamadou from Abuja. Abuja? Okay. In Africa. Still trailing behind and currently on APG 414.5, Return of the Ricketts. Ah, yeah, I remember
was a
that
good
one
show,
very
yeah.
well. Yeah. And that's where Rick dropped that bombshell that he was back as a regular member. Although I don't know, maybe he's kind of shifting back towards being away. Anyway, Rick, if you're listening, please come back. Anyway, Ahmad's question for Captain Jeff is: have you ever done this? And he says, see the link below during departure anytime in your Mad Dog flying days. And it's a picture. Actually, it's a video that we're not going to play here, but we have a still frame from the video showing the MD-82, I believe is what American Airlines was flying at the time, with the buckets out on the tail-mounted or rear fuselage-mounted engines, and they were using the procedure we call a power back. And they did that. I saw them do that several times at DFW when I was flying in and out of there quite often. And I think I've seen some other airlines do this procedure in DC-9s. And I think even I think AirTran may have done it with the 717s that now Acme is flying. But I'm not quite positive about that. But anyway, it's something you can do in this airplane that has the buckets, at least. And we thankfully did not do it at Acme, where it was not allowed. It was not an approved procedure. And now people that know me and know my history of automobile mishaps, bent metal, that kind of thing. Every time that I have bent metal in an airplane, I'm not an airplane. I've never bent metal in an airplane, just to be clear. Every time I've bent metal in an automobile, it has been backing up. So I don't have a really good track record of actually clearing behind me before I start moving the vehicle. And yeah, I do need to have it. I actually put in one of those beep 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 things, Liz, on our family van. No, the family van. And Linda said, "Yeah, you need to take that. You need to get rid of that. That is not. I don't know. No, just no." So,
oh, what a shame! Because I find them very useful.
It was obnoxious, I have to say.
But
and speaking of Linda, she also asked me when I got hired by Acme. She said, "Oh, hey, honey, do you have to back up the airplane?" And I said, "No, why?" And she goes, "Well, you know." What? Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So I said, "No, thankfully, you'll be happy to know, you'll be relieved that we don't have to back up the airplane. That somebody in the tug driver does that." Our main man Micah in our audience says, "I was a passenger on a 727 Continental Airlines, and we powered back in Colorado Springs back in the 80s." Oh, cool. So I guess they did it on the old 72, the 3-holer. Nice. Never did that. I don't think that Acme has ever. Well, I could be wrong about this, but ever since I've been flying at Acme Airlines, they have not approved. Yes, it is a long time, Liz. Thank you for for adding that.
I sort of did it once. It was in a tornado because the tornado had thrust reversers.
Oh,
fitted.
really?
Yeah, instead of a brake parachute, we had thrust reversers.
Oh.
And I came out of the hardened aircraft shelter once, and we taxied out, and we didn't have both gearboxes going as we should have done. There's a cross-drive clutch that used to connect both, and my finger, well, not my finger trouble, but me not noticing that the other gearbox hadn't connected, which gave me brakes. So when I was taxiing out of the shelter at night, I put my feet under the brakes and nothing happened. And I just went straight through. I nearly ran over the marshal who was, but I had nowhere to stop the airplane. I'm going, how the hell was it? So we went out of the pan in front of the hardened aircraft shelter onto the taxiway with me still going, I've no way to, I can't understand why this airplane isn't stopping. Anyway, I used thrust reversers to bring it to a halt on the taxiway. And then as the ground oil, I shut the engine down. I only had one engine going. And then everything went into complete darkness. And I suddenly realized that we were going backwards down the slope of the taxiway.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. So having managed to stop myself from going forwards anymore, we were now going backwards.
So now what do? You try to restart the engine?
Well, I was trying to I was trying to lift the canopy, but the canopy worked from the same brake accumulator that had not been filled. And so I couldn't lift the canopy to shout at the ground crew. I couldn't do anything. But luckily, one of the ground crew realized the problem and threw a chock in behind the main wheels. And we had our wings all the way back in 67, like we were doing 1,000,000 miles an hour. And all that center of gravity at the back there, plus our rearward thing, did exactly what you have to be very careful of if you're doing this in an airliner. It tipped the airplane onto its arse. So, the nose wheel came up. We didn't actually touch the back end on the ground. Thank the Lord. It hovered there for a while, about 30 degrees nose up or whatever. And then slammed back down on the nose wheel and all was good. But it left me severely embarrassed.
I'll bet that your heart rate was a little bit high.
It took me an age to work out what had happened because we're so used in the house. We had to start an engine and get out quickly because as soon as you start an engine, you're cooking the airplane that's immediately behind you, and you don't want to burn the wing off. So as soon as you get an engine going, wave the chocks, taxi out. And I'd done all my after starts, but I hadn't checked that the cross-drive clutch had actually closed, and it hadn't. So I had no brakes. Silly boy.
Yikes. Well, Neil in our live audience says Binter Canarius do it in their ATR 72s.
Oh, interesting.
Lots of different places do that. All right. I think Liz in our control room is talking to some kind of a bird, a loon or something.
Yeah. Are you sure it's not a booby?
I don't know if it's a booby or a loon, but I don't know. This is kind of getting personal, I'd say. Okay. All right. So we got about 15 minutes to play with before we end part 1. Okay. Nick, would you like to cover this next piece of feedback, number 16, from Stefan?
Okay. Yes. All right. I went to Texas Sandy Shocks there, Midlands Army Airfield, going, why am I doing this one? But actually, it's the next one on. So this was Stefan, and he just wanted to make sure we were staying above 50%. And although we had on the last show a discussion about a cockpit window that popped over open during a takeoff roll of can you remember what the airplane was?
It was a 321.
Okay. And I said, I don't think they've got sensors for the windows to confirm they're closed. I certainly didn't on the 330 or the 340, the Airbus A340 or the A330. And of course, Stefan, being an A380 captain, just had to let me know that the marvelous A380 does indeed have an indication for an open cockpit window. So if that had been an A380, they would have realized before they started their takeoff that they had an unlocked window. So that's what it looks like. And you can see there right at the pointy end of there, this is the door page. You pull up to see, look at all those doors on a 380.
That's amazing.
The main deck is sort of the outside, and then the inner gray bit is the upper deck. And you can see they're obviously sitting there on a stand because they've got cargo doors open and passenger doors open. But there at the front, they've also got both cockpit windows open, indicating amber, showing they're open. And he said they've got a corresponding procedure if you have, and of course you would, if you had a warning that went off. And it comes up with a amber caution saying door, because that's the system that's doing the detecting the door system. Cockpit sliding window not closed. And the triggering condition, at least one cockpit sliding window is not locked in the closed position. And you get an audio warning, a ding, a single chime. You get an amber master light, and on the SD page is recalled, and you get that warning. And then it also gives you the conditions when that will occur. So basically all the gray ones. So basically, before you get to 80 knots, if you're on the ground with the engines running before you get to 80 knots, and also after 80 knots on your landing. If you've got one of those windows open, you'll get a warning. So there you go. That's that. And he said, in a most amusing way, I thought, Boeings have a much more subtle indication. And he's shown us a picture of a Boeing window. Now, bear in mind, this is coming from my lovely friend Stefan. This is not me bashing Boeing. But obviously there, we've got a picture of the Boeing window. And if you open the window so you can see out, there's obviously a bit of the airframe that is now revealed because you slid the window out the way. And on that is a bit of dymo. It was not dymo tape. It's some kind of lettering that they've stuck on from a label maker saying window not closed, because that's what's been revealed by the act of opening the window.
You kind of think that would be obvious, you know?
Well, we are talking Boeing pilots, aren't we?
All right.
Anyway, this is from a Boeing 777. So there you go. You get a window not closed. Piece of message is revealed if
Hey Liz, could you go back to the schematic, the page? Yeah, I was looking at the 380. I didn't realize how teeny tiny and skinny those wings are on that airplane.
Yeah. I think the back end of the wing is not in the picture.
Oh, I thought that was the entire wing. Sorry.
It might be the entire wing. I don't know.
A little stick figure.
It certainly has an awful lot of doors, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Stefan, for
interestingly, it says rain repellent level normal. Well, rain repellent stuff has been removed from every airplane in the world.
Decades ago.
Yeah, because it turned out to be carcinogenic. So
okay, Stefan, tell us about the rain repellent now.
Yeah, why is that indicating normal? It's obviously not.
Because I think that 380 was built after they outlawed that orange rain repellent stuff.
Could be, yeah.
Maybe they have other better kind, environmentally friendly and human friendly kinds.
Anyway, that was great, Stefan. Thanks very much indeed, and wonderfully amusing picture of the 777. And I hope to meet up with Stefan in October, because I'm going across to Hamburg to give a talk to the Hamburg branch of the Royal Aeronautical Society, and that's where Stefan lives. So he and I are hoping to hook up and drink a few steins together.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll do that. All right, let's do this one, Nick. Number 6 from Ray Pelot. Not pilot, but Pelot. He is advising us of something happening at the Atlanta International Airport in October, the Delta Atlanta Collectibles Show and Sale. And again, it's the 36th annual Atlanta Airline Collectibles Show and Sale, Saturday, October 7th, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Admission is just $10, and children 10 and under are free. And the location is at the Delta Flight Museum. That's deltamuseum.org. And it says, calling all aviation buffs. Over 50 vendors will be selling aviation-related items that range from airplane seats to models and playing cards. Ooh, what kind of like top fashion models? No, probably not. Breakfast and lunch will be available for purchase, and all proceeds benefit the Delta Flight Museum. Okay. Thanks, Liz. Nice, great suggestion. Okay. So there we go. Ray, thank you for sending this. Yeah, we'll go ahead and keep this around and talk or do it again, cover it again a couple of times. Yeah, just to kind of remind everybody, if you're in the Atlanta area, or you feel like something that's worth flying into or driving into town to take a look at. All right, and then finally for part 1 here, we're going to go ahead and end with this one from Jillian. Jillian the Sicilian, she calls herself. And this is an interesting one. Here's what I like about Captain Nick and the rest of the APG crew. But she starts off with Nick because I think that he's her favorite. So Nick says, podcast. She spelled it P-A-W-D-C-A-W-S-T, podcast. He snorts, as he just did, actually. He says orientated, because we say oriented.
Quite correct.
Well, yeah. And then he also says, Bob's your uncle. By the way, you didn't catch me saying that when you were on the last episode where you were showing the picture of your student named Bob, who has the new podcast. I say, is that your uncle?
Oh, no, I was probably concentrating on what I was saying. Yeah, yes, afraid so. I turned my ears off.
He says...
Indeed, but no, he's not.
Okay. So what do you say?
Bob's your uncle.
No, this next one, if you're following along on the...
Brilliant.
There you go. His commentary is always spot on.
Oh, how nice.
Very nice.
Like this lady.
Captain Nick possesses the rare combination of right and left brain talents, artistic, creative, and scientific. Oh, that was a very, and I have to agree with her. You really do.
I'm well balanced. I have a chip on both shoulders.
Then she addresses Liz. Liz's snarky quips don't need to go through the filter of Captain Jeff. Just give her a mic.
Yeah, indeed.
She says a lot of stuff that I bet nobody catches. Yep. And there are a lot of things, by the way, Jillian, that I don't include in the audio podcast that she says that are just...
well, we just can't.
Over the edge. There's a gray area. Yeah, well, okay. Sure. She says a lot of stuff that I bet nobody catches. Okay, I already read that. Perhaps she could suggest a vague connection to Piper Cherokee, P-Y-P-E-R, Cherokee, if she feels the need for an airplane connection. Just kidding. Of course, yeah, she spells it with a Y and not an I, as Jillian knows, because that's what how she spelled it in her feedback. Dr. Steph is an amazing lady. I envy her talent for sleeping on planes and getting up early. I love to hear her talk about her life and her daily activities.
Yeah,
we all do, actually.
We're all envious, I think.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Captain Jeff can drone on about anything, and it will sound really, really nice. He's the Velvet Radio voice guy.
Yes. Tell us about the inside of a ping pong ball, Jeff.
Well, let me tell you about that, Nick. Let me grab my ping pong. Liz is starting to snore in the background. Okay, says, she says, well, I'm going to close for now. I bet you are all thinking I'm seriously suffering. Oh, hang on. I was going to get that ready. I was able to find it the other day. Remember, I was looking for it in the last show and I couldn't find it. And I thought, well, I'll just make it so I can find it. And I think I have. Okay. So let's see. I'll start over that again. Well, I'm going to close for now. I bet you are all thinking I'm seriously suffering from APG syndrome. True.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a
bad case. APG syndrome. Oh, yeah, sorry. APG syndrome. Bad case. APG syndrome. Another one's down. I do agree, but I'm not going to seek help just yet. I'm in the throes of my addiction, and I will enjoy it as long as it lasts.
Oh,
Blue
brilliant. Well
skies. Jillian the Sicilian. Yes, thank you, Jillian. We love you, and we love everybody out there in
Sicily quite often when I was in the Air Force. We used to fly out of Decimumano in Sicily. Always loved it. Great place.
Did you ever meet any young, beautiful young ladies named Jillian in Sicily?
Not that I recall. No.
Mm-hmm. Not that he's going to admit on air. Okay.
Certainly
gotcha.
not.
All right.
How do you think I've been married this long?
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up part one, and soon, as we like to say, through the magic of podcasting, and editing, yes. Of course, you're going to hear some of the other crew members, and we'll end the show. So, Nick, why don't you say ta-ta and bye-bye and whatever it is you say.
Good luck with part 2. Bye, everybody.
All right. Perfect.
Well done, sir.
Let's see. Same thing to you. Let me hit. Okay. I'm going to hit stop on my recorder and save. And then I'm going to hit stop right here on
Well done, gentlemen.
Well, thank you. Well, we couldn't have done it without you, Liz, in the background instructing us.
So, title things. I don't know if we... What about uncontrolled heat? Is there anything around that? Uncontrolled heat?
Yeah, I'll make a note.
And several references to the devil and Devil's Fire.
Helsinki,
Helsinki. Let's see, what else did we talk about?
666.
Firefighting as well. You know, that was kind of all a big theme in the part 1. Firefighting.
Did you do anything with open windows, like
open windows? I don't know. Any suggestions
to cool off from that uncontrolled heat? You've got an open window there.
Yeah.
Well, I could certainly put an open window in, probably.
It's a nice little message on
heat,
it.
666 devil firefighting open windows. I might be able to do something with a devil on fire. It was 666. I'm not quite sure how we get airplanes into it, but there you go.
Move to that open window.
The devil flying an airplane. I'll try that.
Oh, I like it.
Cool. And by the way, that image that we popped up in the slides was not a copyrighted image, believe it or not.
Oh, great. Well done.
Oh, sorry.
Hang on to that.
He looks very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like Micah. Go back and look. Just kidding.
Micah says,
Micah was still here.
Power on back.
Power on back. And Micah loves you, Nick.
Doing the backstroke.
Oh, how nice. That's great. Still got your knife, Micah. Works beautifully.
Everyone in the chat, if you're coming back for part 2, we originally thought we were going to start at 6:30 Eastern. We're now planning to start at 8:30 Eastern this evening. So a couple of hours later, I'm going to send out some notices in a few minutes about it, just to make sure people know. But
excellent.
Okay,
Perfect.
guys, we're going to end
Well,
this
it's
broadcast.
coming up to 9 here, so I will say good night.
Don't do
yeah,
anything.
everybody.
Don't go away
Nice
yet.
night's
Oh,
sleep.
okay,
Okay, don't.
right.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to bid adieu to our live audience, and we'll see some of you later, hopefully.
Jeff and I'll see you later. Bye.
Cheers, bye, folks.